promise never fade.
Ian, it's a pleasure to meet you. Welcome to the Monaro Zone. Can you introduce yourself and just tell us a bit about how you ended up in the Cooma Monaro region?
So born and bred, Adaminaby guy. Love it. Love the whole district. We've been working here for 57 years. We've been in business 61 years as a registered business. Out of this building, I don't know, 20 or 30 years. But I mean, we're across the road and we're at Adaminaby, and we originally called ourselves Monaro Public Address. But then we changed to Australian Public Address because I started venturing all over Australia doing public address sound communications.
And I can tell you love the region a lot, and you're part of the Cooma Monaro Progress Association. And
Yeah.
what role does that play in the community?
The Progress Association is been formed in Cooma for quite a long time. We're more than 25 years. Dougal Mitchell and all the crew. We're incorporated. We've quite well set up, and we've got all our, as you say, ducks lined up in the pond. But we are after members and people. We spearhead about 12 different major projects in the Monaro that we're trying to get headway on. Some are moving slow, some are moving fast, and it is quite good to have a bunch of engineers, tradespeople, business operators, entrepreneurs, people all over the place who are within our organisation. We're not a big organisation by any means, but each member puts in a lot of time and as much as they can. We've got some members that don't put in a lot of time, but their expertise is welcome on certain subjects. We've got Richard Hopkins working on the rail from Canberra all the way through to Eden, and has been doing a fantastic job. I mean, awesome job. We've got Malcolm Evans working on all the nursing homes and with a whole stack of people. And as an overall governing body with a whole stack of small committees under us doing all sorts of jobs, we reach right out into the community and to the other progress associations in the district and other people and organisations and say, hey, we're here to give a hand. Do you need any this or that, any engineering, any advice? We can provide that.
And you yourself are an engineer, is that correct?
Electronics.
Electronic engineer?
Yep. I've got 5 or 6 trade tickets, 7 trade tickets, 1 degree. And I've been operating this company for over 50 years. We did a job the other day for our 54th time. And we do it every year. So it gives you an idea. We have just a bit of equipment. I don't know. If you stock take it, it'd be over the $20 million worth of equipment.
And how did you personally get involved with the Cooma Monaro Progress Association, and what motivates you to continue this work?
Run into Dougal Mitchell. Great guy. Miss him a lot. He fantastic guy, and he looked like he cared. And they were making headway on a whole stack of projects around town. And until the Shire stalled, we would help in all sorts of projects that the Shire wanted to take on or wanted expertise in certain areas, and we'd help. Now, Dougal passed away, and we had a vote for a new president, and I put my hand up for the vice president, and Neil Brown put his hands up for the president. We've got a tight organisation, but what we've always asked for is people to join, anybody who wants to come in, and even if they can only put in a smaller bit of time, or even just come to the meetings and give their advice on certain areas or how we should go. And we cover a really broad spectrum of the community in assisting other small organisations how to get ahead quickly too.
What are some of the Cooma Monaro Progress Association's most significant achievements to date?
I'd say some of our most achievements would have been within the nursing homes before they were disbanded and that mess came up. And we'd spent a lot of time getting individual things happening within those organisations. And also, I'd say, Centennial Park and a lot of work in the park was all due to Apex Lines and the Progress Association, all putting in their, expertise and hard work. There was a lot of organisations around the area. The Cooma Creek and all that was under our umbrella, and we were working on all that and the museum down there, and helping other museums to get credibility, and also help other organisations to have the association criteria, and they came under our umbrella, and we have helped maybe 40 little organisations do their projects under our insurance and all that sort of stuff to get those things up and rolling.
I believe last time we met, it was in regards to the Bombala Rail Trail.
Yep.
The motion that was put up in regards to that project, which sounds lovely. It's a rail trail, sounds wonderful. But if I understand it correctly, it's not actually got anything to do with the rail trail. It's got to do with ripping up the existing rail and replacing it with a bicycle track.
Okay, looking at the organisations, right, throughout the place, we've got 5 major organisations working on the rail. 6 if you included us. But those groups, right, have been working on for over 20 or 30 years. Now, although the Queanbeyan group has been disbanded, but we've had meetings in the last few weeks about putting all that back together. And we've got a Bombala train group, and we've got a huge one here in Cooma, and we've got people at Breadbow, and we've got people at Nimitybell. Now, all these people have been working on the trains, the tracks, and the infrastructure and the buildings all this time, regardless if it's been shut down or whatever. And we're trying to get it back. Now, to give you a few movements on that, we have been talking to the ACT government in quite length, and the ACT government are now resuming land from Yass around to Hume for heavy rail. The New South Wales government are looking at putting a link from Yass right through Cootamundra out to the inland rail, so we can have a link back into the capital. Now, the capital know that if we have a link from here down to Eden, and then also Orbost, and then Bairnsdale and Sale, etc., and do that, the Victorian government are looking at the moment, doing up the line right back into Bairnsdale. Now, we have only got a very short 83 k's from there to our connection on the trail that we've set up that's coming from Eden up. So it would be a link all the way through, and that would be insurmountable for the amount of... And we've done it all on freight, not passengers, although the passengers are the bonus. But in saying all that, all these organisations and all these people are putting it all together, and it's coming together. One of the spots was, hey, Bombala. Now, the problem is with Bombala is that all the rail from Queanbeyan all the way to Bombala, and especially from Cooma to Bombala, was made out of regulatory stuff that they got from the smelters in Newcastle. It is coal dust. We have a big problem with that, with all sorts of things to do with that. It is designed only for trains. It's designed for a corridor for trains, End of story. Not push bikes. We asked the bike people over and over and over again, can you please put it beside it? Can you look at a different alternative where you're going to run this? And they thought, and if they think that, we haven't got people sitting in on their minutes, look, we have, So they want to get we can get all that iron and we could sell it off and we can make a few more, kilometres of track. And we really don't want to go up and down hills, we just want to go along a flat area, And the state minister made that quite certain that he was on the rail trail side. And boy did he.
Which minister was that, for clarification?
Mr. Wang?
Steve Wan.
So I've got over 3,000 people absolutely livid on his stance on this. And lots of people have spent hundreds of hours either doing up a train or painting a building or whatever, and he's just going to scrap the lot without thinking about it. Now, I happen to own about 8 kilometres of the rail trail between Tumbarumba and Rosewood. So I know how a rail trail works.
And for clarification, a rail trail is not for a railway. It's for people to ride their bicycles.
Yeah, so they want to just rip it all up, put a bike path down, go 2 or 3 kilometres or whatever. My problem is with that and what we've had at Rosewood. For the first 3 weeks it was a success. We had a fair few people. Now we're lucky to get 1 or 2 riders a month. But as a property owner, right next to one of these, it's a nightmare. Gates open. People think because it's going along, this is lovely land, it must be all owned by the government or somebody else other than a private property owner. So we've had people with guns slung around their backs, riding a bike going along and shooting rabbits and cows and cattle and sheep in our paddocks. We got video of it. I told the council this, and some lady councillor from Jindabyne says, they shoot sheep all the time, it's all okay, or cattle, we could, And my dad, he'd turn over his grave if he'd heard that, and I was so livid to say all this, what we're saying to these councillors and people, is just going over their heads because they are batshit dumb. And I mean, I've never seen it. Now, Bob's got a vested interest and Bob's a great guy. And he has been doing so much work and I consider him one of the good blokes. But he would love some development, any bloody development, and $1 million into good old Bombala would be great. But there are heaps more things down at Bombala we could do. And I mean a heap of things that we could entice people to come to Bombala and stay and be there. The problem is if they're going to rip up the track, the coal dust is going to pollute the river. We're going to have a big problem. The train track runs right next to the river.
That was one of the things that I believe one of the councillors brought up, saying that the coal dust isn't a problem because it's been there for so long.
How do you work that out? Okay, so a piece of asbestos is on the ground, been there so long, but if you pick it up and consume it, or you pick it up and throw it in a river, then we've got a problem. So it's got nothing, their knowledge in this area, the 63-page report that I got from the council in Newcastle on how to deal with coal dust, it was scary. I could not believe it. We did tests on this, and they've gone down to do tests, but funny enough, we tracked exactly where they dug for all the tests. Oh no, they didn't dig on the trail itself, or where the track had go, or the train section, or any of the ballasts. They were 40 or 50 metres in either direction. They rigged They're going to try to rig the results no matter what to get around this problem. I'm telling you, if you dig up that track, you'd have to tent the whole of Bombala, and that was the Newcastle Shire Council. Couldn't figure out what to do at Maitland, let alone with the whole of Maitland. So they've turned around and sprayed the whole there, and then they've concrete capped the lot. And what they had to do with the tented trains to go in there and get that all sorted was unbelievable. And when you look at the fine print on all the warning signs when you cross that little fence into the rail corridor area, down the bottom, this has and is contaminated soil. End of story.
Have there been some councillors that have been supportive and appreciative of your advice?
Okay, Luke Williams, brilliant. Good old Andrew Thaler, great guy. And Ruben Rose, again. And Bob wants this, and he voted the other way, but Bob's on there, right? Nick Elliott, great. All these people understood what I was trying to explain. They took reports off me, they looked at all the stuff, and they asked some intelligent questions. All I did from the other lot, and I'm not going to mention names because of what they've been doing to every other person that's, and I don't want to get shot in the foot here, but these people are not acting logically. They have got ulterior motives, and they're nothing to do with the Shire, they're nothing to do with common sense, and they're nothing to do with humanity. I don't know how they sleep at night. It's got me absolutely beat. Toss and turn I do over all these sorts of things how can we do this? But there is one thing that we've got in our favour. One is knowledge. Number 2 is experience, and number 3, gumption. And we're not giving up about all this. You have a fight on your hands, it's a major one, and we've only just started with round 1.
Have you also been following the fluoride issue in regards to the desire to have a community survey?
I have. I think it's shameful where they're at. They took fluoride out of our pools for quite some time ago because of this problem, and the Shire monitored that heavily. And we have to put certain contaminants in there to keep it all clean and everything like that. I understand all that. But we are now in 2025. We're not in 1960. And things have changed because we can now look at stuff and say, this has this implication if we do this. Now, to object and not let the Shire, that's the people in the Shire who drink this stuff, have informed decision, make a decision, whether it's one way or the other, at least then they have said right. But for people who are not caring about our whole district, right, or our people in our district, right, those people need to stop playing around, and it is dreadfully worrying.
In your view, what are the main challenges currently facing the Snowy Monaro?
We have to have an engineer put in as a CEO, somebody with absolute credibility. He has to know what he's doing, and he has to really, really go right through all the high-end staff and put them on track. Get them all going. Work out what divisions we need, work out what we don't need, and get this district back on track. Playing around like this is dangerous because we're losing small businesses and people in this area so fast it's not funny, because they'll say, gee, I could just go down to Queanbeyan, or I could go to Goulburn, or I could go to any other district and not have this flack. We can't get DAs done, can't get anything through the Shire in a timely manner. And one of the biggest problems with that is it's been swamped with bureaucracy over the years. It needs to be cleaned up and streamlined. But the only way to do that, proper CEO, proper management, and hard work.
Let's argue from the other perspective. Why is a qualified engineer or a qualified accountant in a CEO's position important? Couldn't you just say that a person with good intentions is good enough?
No. No experience, don't know what he's doing, can't proceed.
Could you apply that to councillors as well?
Yes. Right? We have got a bit of a problem. I do not know how some of these people got voted in, but mainly because it was politically orientated, and the way they set up the voting, and a person going in, he just voted from the top end down, and it was just a mess. Our problem is with that is that if we have got people in there who don't care or have no knowledge or experience in what they're doing, and I've looked at the qualifications and everything, the experience of all those people, they're not employable. Why are they there?
Are you referring to the gang councillors or the independents?
The gang councillors. And the independents, either running their own business or run a business, who are a qualified person on a top end, and they could easily just go out and just forget this mess, right, and go and earn a quid easily. Problem is with the bottom end councillors, they're in there for that bit of money that's coming in from the Shire. I really could just sit here in front of the video for the whole day and not say a thing. And then when I do say something, I wasn't listening and I said something wrong. Do you realise that we know the statistics of how many people's watching this? And there are thousands of people watching these streams. And from one end of the Shire to the other, and I do know everybody, that's one thing I do know. They are livid.
One of the big complaints in the recent community survey was regarding roads and infrastructure. What do you think went wrong with the road developments in this region? Let's say, for example, the Bobian Road or the Polo Flat Road.
Polo Flat Road, wrong time of the year, wrong materials. The whole let's do a road under heavy transport and do it to the standard of a little back creek road and not a major thoroughfare with huge amount of transport coming either way. We should own a hot mix plant. Even if we own a hot mix plant between 3 shires, which would be a logical thing down, put the hot mix down, end of story for 15 years. Done. They hot mixed from Adaminaby all the way through the top of Talbingo. This is RTA. They didn't touch it for 22 years. Not a pothole. Now it puts it 4 to 8 inches worth of specialised covering, and it cannot be touched. And it's one of the best things. All the Canberra's that. The only problem is it's a bit slicky. We should be doing things like that and looking outside the box. We have got some great contractors here, like McMahon's and all that. But the problem is, they're only as good as the engineer who tells them how to do the job. And the problem is, we've got no engineers. We've got no expertise left. All our guys have retired. People who replaced their job was just a foreman or somebody who just walked up the line. We have not, this is not just one of the problems that we've got in the Shire with the roads and everything like that. And the guys out there on the gang are working their butt off to try to do as much as they can, as quick as they can, and you can see it all over the place. But they're not getting enough backup or materials or plant to absolutely and utterly do the job to the proper degree of it, what it's needing to be done. They're only doing half a job because they've only got half the materials, or they have to knock off, or they have to no overtime, no, somebody coming out and having a look or lining it up. Haven't seen a surveyor on the roads around here for God knows how long.
Now, is this, do you believe, a financial problem, or is it a management problem?
Management. It's way a management problem, because finance-wise, our shire is pretty near running good finances compared to a lot of other shires throughout Australia. I know that the local CEO, our new CEO, and that has been instructed to fire sale anything he can get his hands on, and we all now know that and are tracking exactly what they're trying to sell off and that. But this money seems to be just disappearing. It doesn't seem to be going back into the council. It seems to be going back into, I don't know where it's gone, but it's gone. And we've had donations from lots of private people around town that's donate a lot of money into a lot of organisations. And when we went to track that money to get it back and say, let's give it to the hospital auxiliary, and you blokes know exactly what I'm talking about, then we see that $20,000 just disappear. Now that lady was...
Transparency an issue, you believe?
Well, there's no transparency because nobody knows what's going on. They can't transparent anything because nobody's telling anybody where it's doing or whatever. I had a genie in a bottle to figure it out, but I've got 20 engineers here who are pretty smart people, right? And we've put our heads together going, there's a void. I'd love to know where the void is, but it's not going back in and then going out through the shire to give us any benefits anywhere, and that's a problem. I
believe the independents at the last meeting tried to pass a few motions to improve that transparency and accountability.
I know. I've seen what they're going to put up beforehand.
And why do you think these motions keep getting voted down?
Ooh. I'm sorry to laugh. But there's something stinking in the kitchen. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know it smells bad. And when they're not going after accountability and not looking at anything, or let's fix this problem, and they go objection, 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 it stinks in the kitchen and it's bad.
Right now, for the Cooma Monaro Progress Association, what would be the 3 community concerns that you would be focusing on? I'm guessing aged care would probably be one of them.
Our aged care is our number one. And Malcolm and the guys and Cheryl and everybody and Angie and that are doing a fantastic job. I mean, those people are working and working hard. I can't say too much about that because it's all under wraps, but we're getting there bit by bit. Okay. And we'll get it around.
Moving on from aged care then, what would be the second priority?
Richard's trying to get the train back and get that moving and get transport sorted out for the whole of the Monaro and get a lot more transport avenues into the area. And that's not just trains, that's trucks and general transport movement, and safety on the Monaro Highway is our biggest moves. We've had a lot of talks with RTA on getting all that, and the RTA are putting a lot of effort in that Nimity Bell end and all over the place just to try to bring these up to better standards, because we lose too many people in the Monaro on those highways. We've got so much traffic there, it's not funny. And the transport is one of the biggest things. And we have, I was told that, I can't remember the statistics for our large transport in this area, on the Monaro, right? But 7,500 movements a day on a road is far too much. We need to come up with alternatives to sort that out. And Richard Hopkins and his group of people are working on that, and it's working on it. And we've one of the biggest things that we've learnt is proceed without the Shire. Until they fix their own mess, it's a waste of time talking there, and we have been proceeding with other state governments, both Victoria and federal and ACT, and to some degree the New South Wales, Minister of Transport and all that sort of stuff. We've had more headway than that in the last 12 or 18 months than we've had in the last 5 years, and it's going in the right direction. It will come around.
Can you share some of those ideas? It's more than just a puff and billy, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. See, the thing is that if we were going to put the rail back and put it back cheaply just to alleviate transport from Eden to Canberra, just that, there is no reason why we can't put the trucks on the trains. There's no reason why we can't bus the buses, all bus transport, all down the train line. So we've been looking at that sort of stuff, so not only just putting trains there and looking at passenger, but our main efforts has been working on freight. Heavy freight, light freight, all sorts of freight. And looking at making it a lot easier to move the freight, and especially so we don't lose those small companies out of Polo Flat for moving freight. We actually get them a lot better running and a lot more efficient.
To me, this plan sounds totally counter to a rail trail bicycle path. Whereas a bicycle path is only good for people riding a bike occasionally, keeping the rail running or bringing the rail up to a usable standard would actually alleviate a lot of the infrastructure issues that we have right now.
Especially roads, and not only that, side roads as well, and all sorts of stuff. So even somebody taking cattle to Cooma Sale Yard, if he could drop it off at Nimity Bell and bring them into Cooma Sale Yard by rail, things like that. We can move a lot of after hours, we can then move a lot of other infrastructure in and out. The great thing about it is, do they realise that if we put this together, and it comes together, that we won't be just moving Monaro freight, we'll be moving all the freight out of New South Wales, because currently it costs anywhere from $150 to $270 a tonne for union fees per tonne to go into Botany. So they want Botany either cut by 90%. Now, in doing that, it'd save the state government and everybody transport millions and millions of dollars. We would also then have a huge infrastructure that would help right through the place. Or one thing, we asked the Aborigines, if you're going to run a trail from Bombala to Eden, where would you go? Those people, most fantastic people, virtually walked the whole track 5 years ago, worked out where they were going to go. They wanted only 5 things. They wanted 2 railway stations at particular points. They wanted us to be able to, people would passenger to those points, and they would take people on bushwalks through this and show the heritage of the Aboriginals right through that area. They also then said we would like, 100 jobs. Fair enough. Employ them. They also wanted us to lease some land on Tufo Bay, where we wanted to bring the station in and everything, so it could continue down, because the arms depot, and I can't say too much about that, but our ordnance from Forbes to Tufo Bay will become critical, and that's another big reason that we're looking at doing it, and that's why we're in great talks with the Department of Defence at the moment. And those things would employ over 300 people in the region, the Bombala and Eden region, right away.
Now, in the worst case situation, the Bombala rail trail goes ahead, they rip up the rails from Bombala. What happens to this amazing vision and plan?
It'll still keep going. The simple fact is that we can reverse it. But there's a few. Where are they currently getting the money to do an independent survey? And I mean, did I say independent? independent survey to look at the coal ash. How are they going to get around the coal ash problem when council and state and everything could not get around it? And there's no matter, you can't get around it. Why, if they're putting all that money, and some councillors are throwing money out of the Shire into this area to booster up the rail trail people so they don't squander their $1 million, right? But they're running around doing surveys and digging up the whole area, because I've got all my volunteers in Bombala showing me exactly where they're digging and what they're doing, and they're trying to stack the cards saying there's no problem, because we did a survey 320 metres away from the track. I can't believe that they'd go to great lengths to kill all these volunteers who have done all this hard work, and they have 6 people on their committee and 2 of them just retired off the committee. So we've got 4 people we're talking about against 600 volunteers, against 3,000 people who are involved in this situation. And I tried to explain that at the Shire meeting, but of course they didn't understand as usual. But I had a lot of support from the good councillors.
I believe some of those good people in Bombali you were referring to was Alan and Faye Simpson.
What a lovely people. They look, I can't say enough about those 2 people and the hard work and what they've done. Cosmo Cafe and all that, guys there where they had their meetings and that, and I've been down to several of their meetings and everything like that, and we've virtually put that whole organisation under our umbrella, the same as Gordon's organisation, and Gordon and the crew with their train set up here in Cooma. Couldn't get better people if you tried. They're working hard. They're not taking any money off the Shire. They're getting money from overseas. They're getting money from all over the world, and heritage organisations to come here and do this fantastic work. And these bad councillors stand there going, oh gee, I wonder what, you know?
I was particularly moved that for over a decade they've been maintaining the railway station.
Yep.
All free of charge. And they even told the rail trail people that if they built the rail trail next to the track, that they would maintain the rail trail as well, free of charge.
Yes.
And when I asked Alan and Faye Simpson what was their hope and desire for the future, it was such a humble vision. They just wanted to be able to ride pedal carts to Bibbinlook.
Yep.
And we're not talking millions of dollars. We're not even talking tens of thousands of dollars, just a couple $1,000s, and they could fulfill their vision of riding back and forth along a rail trail. A literal railway track.
Yes. And asking those people to give up their dream, interfering them for a start. Now, they've been a registered organisation for more than 20 years, 25, 30 years, right? Should have precedence over some mob that comes in who've got 6 on the committee, and these types of people, and I'm sorry to say, are not doers. They don't go and do their own work. They get somebody else to do it, or ask the Shire, or spend money, or whatever. All the people to do with the trains are actually practical, hard-working people. It livers me that the care factor of the whole setup is gone. And that is wrong. I was emergency service controller for 22 years here. And what I've seen, what they've gutted in the way of the fire brigade and the SES, and what they've done to those organisations is just criminal. When we hit a major disaster, we will not be ready because they've gutted all those organisations. They're not backing up their volunteers. They're not giving them any credibility, and they're not giving them their insurances or anything to do with training.
Start from the very beginning regarding this topic. What's the problem happening here?
They've got so much on their pile that they put volunteers and those volunteer organisations right at the bottom. And by the time they get to December, and how they work it out, I don't know, when they get there, oh gee, we've got to do that. They just still don't do it. Start in January on a brand new list, and of course it's way back up the list. And these poor guys are all at the bottom of the pile. Now, those organisations are working hard to do what they have to do, but they would be super organisations if they had just assistance, help, and some organisation. There is no organisation.
Suppose
I'm not saying from the fire side they're organised. Or the SES. I'm saying they're only as good as the engineers and people who are giving them a hand. But all that's gone.
once again, is this a financial problem? Is it because there's no money in the coffers?
No, nothing to do with finances. It's to do with organisation. Completely and utterly.
And where does that organisation start? Are we talking about executives in the council, or are we talking about councillors that are voted in?
Both. We've got a real problem. The council, the gang of whatever bad or whatever you say, right? Those guys haven't got a clue. They've done nothing. They've been nothing. So what's going on? I mean, and then the guys that come in and have run a business or have certainly a fair amount of knowledge are ignored, objected, just because of some political point.
I really appreciate all these hard truths you're telling me. Aren't you concerned about telling these hard truths?
Yes, I am. And I'm worried my wife's going to shoot me. But this is all true, and I'm sorry if I've offended anybody in what I'm saying. This is all without prejudice. And if I get any flack from this, just remember who you're talking to.
Let's switch gears to something a little bit more positive.
Sorry.
What's your long-term vision and hopes for the Snowy Monaro region?
Golly gosh. I would love to see our library truck back. My problem is that we've got a lot of underprivileged people all over the Monaro who struggle, and their only communication was that library truck. Their only books. They don't own a bloody computer. They don't even know what that is. A little lady would come up from Delegate and they'd say this and that. And they said, oh, only 3 people came to see the library truck today. Well, golly gosh. Out of those 73 people that live in Delegate who are underprivileged, I'm not talking about the ones who've got a job or people who are on pension or anything like that, those 73. Now, we've got 73 people down in Delegate who are doing it hard. They depend on those services. Now, whether it's the internet that runs off the truck, or if it's the books, or the just, hello, how you going, right? We've got a lot of our services have been gutted and can't get to these people. And we're just knocking over our services one by one, not giving a damn about the underprivileged in this area. And I'm not just talking about Delegate, I'm talking about the whole darn region.
If you could achieve one major thing through the Cooma Monaro Progress Association's work, what would that be?
That's a good thing to say. Our organisation is foremost to help people, help other organisations, and help people achieve to be better people in themselves, better communicating and better at humanity things through the Monaro. What I'd like to see is some humanity come back to the Monaro where there's more caring and, you know, like support for Dave and the crew up there with the food bank. I mean, you can't get any better than those guys. And we try to support them, or I try to support them. And of the things in the Monaro, we really need to do a big stock take of what we have and haven't got on the humanity side, not so much the operational side, but more on the humanity side.
And how can residents get more involved with the Cooma Monaro Progress Association and contribute to these initiatives?
Join us. We're about to run our meetings on the internet, so you don't have to travel in from Adaminaby or wherever, or if you're a cook or whatever, or if you're invalid and you can't get out of the house, you can at least watch it, and we can record them, and then we can put them up on the web, and then you can say, Ian, you forgot about this, or you forgot about that. Look, we need feedback from you guys. We really do. We've got a lot of great initiatives happening at the moment, and Malcolm and all the crew need, certainly some direction with the nursing homes and any ideas about the nursing homes, especially the Berriedale one, and how we'll get a Lambie back if we can fight it, which we have got a crew looking at that at the moment.
Finally, what gives you hope and keeps you motivated for the future?
I love the Monaro. I love the people in it. They all work damn hard. Even the Shire guys and all that, they all work hard. Golly gosh, we should stop mucking around and get into it, because this is a fantastic area. We could have tourists here tenfold more if we decided to all pull together. If the council turned around and had just one symposium with all the businesses to do with tourism, what would come out of that would be awesome. Now, Keith, we've had some great people in the council and do some fantastic things and build visitor centres and all that side of things. And they are not with us anymore. We need all those types of people back, cherished, and those people encouraged, not knocked back. We've got 4 or 5 councils and they're working their darns, and else I see is people knocking back everything. And there's no robust discussion on something. It's just no, no, no.
And is there anything else you'd like to share or highlight before we wrap up?
There is some light to the end of the tunnel. Trust me. Famous last words. But care about your community. Get involved with organisations. Get involved with the Lions Club, the Apex, the Progress Association, and the clubs. We've got a huge amount of clubs here that do a lot of work for a lot of people. The Gun Club, for instance. And we need to all pull together to make a difference, to get us up and running, not down and out.
If there was a final message that you could give to the councillors, both the gang and the independents, what would that be?
Keep working independence. You're doing a good job and you're getting it there, and you're highlighting a lot of the problems. As for the guys who are not listening or caring, we really wonder how you sleep at night. We really wonder what are your motivations. They must be political, because I can't see any other rhyme or reason. The care factor's gone from you. What are you doing? Get out of the way. Put some people in who want to get this whole Shire up and rolling again. We've got so much we've got to get done, and you're just beating around the bush on not getting anything done.
Thank you, Ian, for your time. It's been a great afternoon. Much appreciated.
Yeah, well, I hope I don't get sued.
It's our home, it's our fight. We stand as one, we'll make it